Welcome back to the My Pro Golfer channel. Jeremy Franks coming to you here from the range at Summerfield Crossings Golf Club. And today, using those flags, we're going to hit the same shots that Xander Schauffele hit in that final round that kept him bogey-free and shooting a final round 65 to win this year's Open. Hey, thanks for watching today's episode. Here at My Pro Golfer, you know we like to keep things simple. And today, I've got a special gift for you to help you never miss a 5-foot putt again. Click the link below and download today. All right, so a couple of things that we really need to understand about shot making is what level player are you? And so if you're watching this YouTube video and you're saying to yourself, well, I'm not on tour, I don't want to be on tour, I just want to enjoy it, but I want to get better, then we're going to start you with that process. And so the process here is we've got 5 flags out there, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 yards, that we're just going to teach you the basic shot. So the basic shot to get to each one. And what I want you to think about is the main thing is alignment. So what am I lining up as? If I'm lining up left and I'm cutting across the ball, then I won't be as consistent with my shot distances. If I'm aiming up too far right, well then I could do a couple things. I could bring the club over and pull the ball, which is also creates some inconsistency. So what I want you to do if you're a high handicap, or really even if you're a low handicap, get a line down so that you can really watch what the club is doing. Maybe even putting another rod right here so you can see the club work against the lines and be really confident that you're starting with a good aiming point. The number one most important thing about starting the golf swing in the olive tree method is your aiming position. The next really important piece is understanding ball position in your stance. So if we've got our aim correct, I want you to stand on your rod here and just kind of get a gauge for where that ball is. And so if I'm aiming at a target to my left here, and I get my feet square to that target line, and then I just draw an imaginary line right there, or put another rod down, that's an option. You're gonna see that the space between your heels is the most important thing to think about and look at, because a lot of people open up a little bit like this. A lot of people are a little bit closed, a little bit open. A little of everything and anything is fine, because it's not gonna be a determinant. Dang it. All right, now that you've figured out your aiming point, I want to talk about the next most important thing, which is getting the ball position in the best possible scenario for you to strike it solidly. And for you high handicappers specifically, I want to really focus on center of your stance, because this is more of a pitch shot. It's not a chip shot. We're not trying to hit the ball low. We're just trying to ground out in the middle of our stance to get the ball up a little bit down the target line. So now I've got my stance set, I've got my rod here. If you want to put another rod here or across the line to help you with that perfection mindset, which I love, you can do that. But the main thing is just feeling out where the ball is in relation to your heels. The heels are important because a lot of people will open up a little web-footed, some people a little bit shut, some people a little bit open, some people a little bit closed. Whatever you are, as long as you're just a little of something, that's not a huge problem. But what I want to make sure you're understanding is as you get better at the impact spot and the impact shot, you can play around with ball position to change the trajectories of your golf ball. But you have to know what the aim point is before you can really get precise on hitting these pitch shots exactly like Xander. So what's your routine? What do you do when you hit a pitch shot? Talk a little bit about that. If you've got your routine, I'm just going to go through mine. I try to just get my feet settled on that target line. I try to just get my club face square. I try to get my hands gently and lightly on the grip. And then based on the shot, and this first one's going to be that 10-yarder, I want to make sure I can make this sound. It doesn't have to strike exactly the same place every time, but it's got to be pretty close. And if you can make that thud sound or that brushy sound, that feel, you know that you're going to be below the equator of the ball, which is the only essential thing you have to do to get the ball elevated. So let's go ahead and take a little look at that. Listen for it. There's 2. It always gives me a little confidence. I generally clean my club face, especially early in the morning here in the garden when it's a little soft, a little wetter, things are growing. I get them on my club face. The club face being really clean is important. So now I've built my stance, I've built my shot, and I'm just gonna go 10 yards. So I'm just gonna try to feel this sensation. You'll notice how the club face stays outside of my hands every time. That's a little steeper approach. I'm playing around with a little bit inside to inside swing philosophy, just playing around with that shot. That'll be for a more advanced clinic, a more advanced video for you guys. But for today, just try to take the club back and the club through and see if we can get some loft on this 10-yard shot. So directly in the middle of my stance, let the hands and body get in our natural olive tree setup. And we're just gonna go back foot to foot. Boom. And we landed that literally inches from the spot. So just recapping that shot right there, I don't know if you've watched the Xander Schauffele video of what he did to hit that little floppy shot over the bunker, but he did exactly what we just did there and hit a high lofted, a little bit more speed shot where the club came up and out. He came down and across, hitting that high spinny shot that stopped pretty quickly on the greens, and everybody thought it was an amazing shot. Well, it's just a habit that he's created. He's just doing something that he always does, and he pulled it off. And so for those of you that are in that zone, I want you to get yourself in that thought process of, okay, how do I hit a little bit higher with a little more check? You're gonna take it out and across the ball, trying to get that sensation of the club face staying wide open. If it shuts, it's gonna go left and low. If it stays open, then you can create that extra spin around it. So practice that if you're a high-level player. Be a great benefit to you. All right, so now that you scratch players have something to work on, here's for the everyday person, everyday man or woman. So we want to get back into that feel, and you remember from earlier in our video series that we did literally, I felt like I took it from shoe to shoe. I know that's not accurate, but that's how it felt. So then knowing how far you swing and what it feels like, and watching where the ball goes, you're gonna get to a level, if you do this drill, you can put out range baskets. Doesn't matter what you use. I just happen to have some American flags and I'm very USA oriented, if you know what I'm saying. The Olympics are coming up, let's all celebrate that. And we got shot 20, 40, 50, and 60 yards out there. And I'm on a line where there's a target way in the distance. It's for my wedge. So in my practice, I'm building every shot 10 to 20 to 30 on each other by simply changing the length of my swing. So in the olive tree method, it really makes it simple to go through this process. So we just did the 10. I'm gonna take it back, I'm gonna say pocket to pocket, and we're just gonna see where that goes. So watch my movement. I've got my same setup, balls right in the middle of my stance, and I'm gonna go pocket to pocket to pocket, boom. I bet you that's about 23 yards, just a little longer than I wanted. So I just slow that down a little bit, or open the loft up a little bit, or just take a slightly shorter swing. So now 23 is just above pocket to get to 30 yards. So jump in there, do the exact same boring everyday thing that you do, and that's what makes golf simple. We're gonna go just above pocket to above pocket. You'll know on the video whether I did that or not. That landed at 29. Fantastic, very happy with that. That's a good feel. And so now we're gonna go to that 40 yard. We're gonna get above pocket to above pocket. See what we can pull off. You notice my divots aren't deep, right? They're shallow because I'm just brushing the grass above to above. I kind of came under that a little bit. You see how it's just a little bit right? See how the elbow is low here? It means I kept the face open, but it did land right at 40, just about 8 to 9 feet right, which is okay. From that length of divots, I'm not too upset with that. I'm gonna have a putt at a birdie hopefully, or a par at worst. Okay, as promised, let's get a little bit into the advanced player here, okay? So one of the things that I was doing here was just basically hitting the middle of the stance, little pitch shots. And what I want you to do as a higher level player, a better player, play it up in your stance and make that swing just to get a little bit more high loft for that 10-yard shot. You'll see it come way up, higher, a lot more spin. You'll be able to learn and feel the shot. And then also play around with putting that back in your stance. So this is what it looks like. Here's center.
This is going to be back in your stance excessive. You see how the line of the shot aims left there, gets outside of your pocket. You can really hit down on the ball with a lot of spin. And then that one was really high and got just a little bit more upward movement without lifting the ball. The key is make sure you don't lift the ball. And the reason why we're doing that is because sometimes, like Xander Schauffele did, you got to get that high, soft little checker to get up over that bunker, and you got to feel that sensation of up and across. And what helps happen with that is getting that ball just a little bit forward so that you can get up and across, hitting that high spin 12-yarder that would have been just exactly the same shot that Xander hit last week. And then what you want to do is you got a pin in the back. You want to take that same club, play it back in your stance, back in the movement pattern, keeping the club more low and inside, and that will allow the ball to come out lower, rolling, compressing, and trusting the movement patterns to get that ball to be what trajectory and roll and spin you need as a low handicap player to hit any shot that you want. All right, so I hope this was helpful to help you navigate best ways to practice and get really precise in your practice habits. And what I've learned about this particular drill for my own game is that I now have a really good sense of where the ball lands based on the feel. So when I'm out there and I've got a 10-footer, I'll actually walk, or 10-yarder, I'll walk out and just kind of feel it in my feet and the steps, get a lay of the land and kind of guesstimate how far it will go. And then now I've got some real knowledge and feel about how far each shot goes. So if this was helpful, like it. If you liked it, subscribe. We got a ton of great channels and videos and playlists for you guys to get better at golf each and every day. And then if you really want to get good, come out here and get a lesson at Summerfield Crossings Golf Club. This is the new home of MPG Golf Academy. We want to take your game as far as you want to go. We'll see you next Thursday at 6 o'clock.